Are you interested in building your own computer? Is the thought of building your own computer exciting to you? No? Well, too bad, because for the next few minutes, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. IDG's article in Australian PC World says one of the best reasons to build your own computer is to have it to your own specifications. Another reason it states is that you can also save money by doing this with careful shopping. A few things to talk about before we start this. There are some things that I will not be discussing in this speech due to time restraints and simplicity. Those things will include the power supply and peripherals, which would include monitor, keyboard and mouse, headset, speakers, those such things. Things that I will be talking about in this discussion will be the motherboard, the CPU, the GPU, the storage, and the memory. If you don't know what those are, don't worry, we're going to discuss that as well. Something that we're going to keep in mind throughout this speech is going to be a budget-minded build. What I like to call it is budget modular, something that can be added onto over time, but is pretty cheap to start off with. So our first topic is motherboards. Motherboards are the base component in PCs, personal computers, that are used, that everything connects to it. You kind of think about it like the central nervous system in the human body. The type of motherboard that I'll be recommending for our computer build is going to be a B450M motherboard. This type of motherboard is budget modular, it's cheap, it's not bad. Cheap's not bad in PCs. This is something you can add on to over time. You can add extra slots if you need to. The reason we're going to use the one mentioned here, the B450M, is that'll go for our next topic, our CPU. It'll be compatible with that. So our next topic, the central processing unit, or CPU, like I just mentioned. This is where all the thinking's done in the computer. This is where the processing, task managing's done. You kind of think about this like the brain of the computer or the human body. The type of CPU I'll be recommending for our computer build is going to be a Ryzen 3600X. Don't worry about the numbers, it's just the model number. This is a good middle of the road budget modular. This is something you can add on to later. It's got plenty of power to do simple tasks like surfing the internet, blogging. It's also good for a little bit higher end stuff, maybe some video gaming. That's what I use mine for. Maybe some light 3D modeling. Our next topic is going to be the graphical processing unit, or the GPU. This is where the computer really processes the imaging and displays it onto the monitor. You kind of think about this like the visual system in the human body. This is where it takes all the information, whatever the computer's trying to display, runs it through its circuitry, and then displays it on the monitor. The type of GPU I'll be recommending for our computer build is going to be a NVIDIA 1660S. Yet again, it's just the model number. This will handle middle of the road, same stuff we talked about with the CPU. The next thing we'll talk about is the memory. The memory of the computer, or the RAM, random access memory. This is where stuff is stored temporarily for a computer. This is where things can be put to the side and be working on something else for a little bit and then come back to it if need be. You think about this like the short-term memory of the human body. The type of memory I'll be recommending for our computer build is going to be what's called DDR4 3600 memory. DDR4 is important because this is the type of memory this will fit into our motherboard, and the 3600 is the speed of the RAM. It's probably a little bit too fast for your web browsing and blogging, but it'll definitely handle video gaming, 3D modeling very well. I'd recommend about 16 gigabytes. This is a good amount for this type. The next thing we'll talk about, I kind of want to talk about storage in two ways. You may have heard about before what's called disk drives. Disk drives they're a little bit older, but it's still worth mentioning. In the world of computer science, by Gale, they explain disk drives as being a mechanical type of drive. This is where it has an actual rotating disk on the inside and uses electromagnetism to read and write onto the drives. This is okay in some applications. This would probably be okay if you're just surfing the web and blogging, but your computer will be slow. That's the downside. So for what we'll be talking about today, I'll be recommending what's called SSD, or solid state memory. Storage can also be referred to as ROM, read-only memory. This is where stuff obviously is stored, programs recalled for later. You save and write to your storage. This is obviously like the memory of the human body. Owl Hill Media says that the hard drive stores data like RAM, but requires more time to access. It's not as fast as RAM. We talked about earlier how RAM stores things temporarily and then recalls it. It clears it just like a short-term memory in the human body. But storage does not. It keeps it until it either is deleted or moved. For our system, I'll be recommending 500 gigabytes of SSD memory. It'll be fast and snappy. All right, so that's it. You have all the basic information that you need to build your own computer. You know about your motherboard, your CPU, GPU, storage, and memory. The only thing you'll need to do is figure out what kind of power supply you need, a case, and your peripherals. Thank you.